Hello guys, welcome to my channel again. So as you have already seen the thumbnail, you know what we are going to do here. So I got this comment and here the person is trying to create a program where we can convert Excel to PDF. But the trick here is that if Excel file has multiple rows, in that case we have to create multiple PDFs and those PDFs have to be created for each row, right? Yeah, so each row can create new PDF document and header should be common. So this is very specific here, but here we are going to see two things. One is that how we can actually read Excel file and how can we actually convert the Excel data to a PDF. And then this is specific thing which means that we have to create a PDF file for each row. So before we work on that, if you are new to my channel, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. So here I have the code with me. So this is what I have created. Don't worry about it. I am going to start on this from scratch. So I am going to write each and everything from the beginning, and then I will explain line by line what we have done here. So right now I just need to run it. But before that, let me show you what we have in the Excel file first, and then we will see the PDF files. Alright, so this is the Excel file that I have. So this is not something that I have created. I just downloaded a dummy Excel file from the internet. I don't remember the website. So as you can see, I have these many columns and these many rows, right? So if I were to sum up, what should happen is like this header should be common in all the PDFs, and for these rows, we have to create PDFs. So for row 2, there should be a PDF with this header. Then it should be like this, then so on and so forth, right? So if I run this program, so here you can see that I'm creating PDFs in my temp folder. So it is finished. So here you can see that we have 9 PDF files. So let's open one. So here you can see that we have the header just like this, and we have the row also here, and for each row we have a PDF. So for this first row we have PDF_1, and so on we have 8 other PDFs. So I can open the last one. So it should, yeah, so you can see that it has 9.0, so that suffices the requirement. Now let's understand the code. So first let me clean up this entire code and then I will write it again. Alright, so before I forget, the project that we are currently building is on my GitHub repository. I will paste this link on the description of this video. So if you need some kind of help, then have a look. Alright, so let's create a new project. So it's going to be Maven. So choose the location according to your requirement and then hit on finish. So IntelliJ will take time, but it will finish processing because we don't have much here. So what we need is, we need first few dependencies. So that we have to add first. So the first dependency is to read the Excel file. So for that we are going to use Apache POI. Right, that's okay. And then we have to choose one more. And then we need some dependency to convert or create PDF files. So for that we are going to use ITextPDF. Right, so this is done. So now we have all the dependencies that we need. You can see here. Now what do we need is, we just need to create a class. So let's call it main app. Right, now let's create our main method. So here what do we need first? First is we need to create our file which is going to be Excel file. So for that I'm going to use file input stream. So here I need to provide the file and then I need to provide the path. So my file is at path ctemp and the name is going to be this. So let's delete these values, sorry, files, and let's rename this to test. All right, so we are done. Let's throw the exception. So now what do we need is we need to create workbook. So as you know, Excel file is actually a workbook, and that workbook is going to have sheets. So that is at least one. So with that, our Excel file can contain one or more. So currently I'm keeping it simple, so I'm just having one sheet. So let's start slow. Let's first create the workbook. So workbook is going to be this, and then here we will provide the object. Now let's throw another exception. All right, now through this workbook we are going to get, so currently I'm having only one sheet, so the index starts at 0. Then I need to hold this into a variable. Let's import. All right, so now we are good to read the Excel file now. So these three are very important steps. Now we have the sheet, that means that we can now come down to rows and cells. So what do we need to do? First, let's try to print this Excel file and see what content do we have. So for that I will create a method which is going to read the data for me. So here what I will just do is I will do void get row data. So here I need to provide sheet through which I will read the data. So what do I need first is going to be, so how does a person iterate over an Excel file? So first we need to find the row, and through that row we will find each column, right? So Excel work on cell level. So first we will calculate or find the row object, and then through that row object we will find all the cells which are columns. So here iteration is going to be like I equals to 0, I less than. So now we need to know the size of rows that this Excel file is going to contain. So good thing is that we have one method, get physical number of rows. Right, now we know that these many rows are going to exist, but we need to get the row here. So again there is going to be one more for loop. So here what we need to do is through sheet we are going to get the row of a particular index, and on that index we are going to iterate over each cell, right? So this line can also be replaced, or this complete for loop can also be replaced as for row, and then we can work on sheet like this. But I need to work on indexes because I have to segregate header and the rest of the rows. So that's why I need to work on index level. But that is one more way that you can try. Again, now we are iterating over each cell. So that means that we are coming down to the data part. That means that here we got everything that we want. But the sad part is that the data here can be of different types. So there is one class cell type. So let's come down here. So here if you see that these type of data is supported through Apache POI. So here you can see that we can have boolean, blank, formula, string, numeric. So the main types are going to be numeric, string, formula and boolean, these four. And that is what we are going to take care, because we don't know in which row and in which cell we have which kind of data. So that matters actually, so that's why I'm going to use switch case here. So first we are going to find out the type. So for that we have method get cell type enum. Now based on these enum we are going to have cases. So the first one is going to be string. Let's for now add these cases, and then we are going to have numeric, break this, then we are going to need boolean, break, and then formula. Alright, so for now we are just printing the data, so we'll just do, here we have to do cell. So for a string there is a specific method which is get string cell value, and so on. We have different method for numeric, and this goes true for boolean also, and for formula. Right, now we have everything. What we need to do is we just need to call this method. So let's do that. Alright, so let's run this code. So here you can see that we got everything, but it's not in the format actually. So you see 0, 0, 0.0, which is the first cell, then these are the header columns, right, and that we have the data. So first thing is completed, that we are able to read the Excel file. Now the second part is to segregate the header so that we can store it into a global variable, which we are going to reuse every time when we are generating a PDF file for each row, right? So that we have to keep as a common field, so that's why I need to segregate. So how do we do that? Let's find out. So I will create one method here, public static. So I'm going to keep the row data into a list of type string. So through this method I'm going to set the header and have it into a variable which I'm going to use it every time when we are creating a new PDF file. So here we only need sheet, and when we are actually calling the row data method, there we actually need to provide the index. So this for loop shouldn't be here, so that we will change. Right, so our row data should comprise or should start from the index 1. So for 0 we know that it is going to be header. So let's change our row data method, or let's just say row here, and here let's add index. Alright, so this I has to be replaced with index, and instead of printing we have to return a list. So let's format this a bit and let's create a list. Alright, here instead of printing we have to add this to our list. So string, so cell dot get string cell value, dot add. So here we have to convert this to string. So cell dot get numeric cell value. Let's copy this, and instead of numeric here we will change it to get boolean cell value. Let's dot add, and here we have to do cell dot get cell formula dot to string. Right, so now we have added our data, we just have to return this string whenever we are calling this method over each index. Change the return type of this method, and here for header we are going to call this method getRow for index 0. Alright, so good to go. So first is that we are starting from index 1, but we have to keep header somewhere. So that I'm going to keep like this. So let's name it header list, and here I will just call set header sheet. Right. So through this I am going to get the row data of row 0, and that is going to be inside this list. Now we are going for the rest columns. So let's type here row data, and this is going to be our header data, and these three are going to be needed for Excel data, Excel file data. Right now for each index or for each row we have to get a list. So here we will get this list, let's say row data, and here again we will call method get row, and here we will work on index I and sheet. Now we have this data. What do we need to do now? We have the data, we have to create for each row a PDF file. So that means that now inside this for loop I have to work on the PDF creation part. So for that we have already added the dependency, so let's start with it. So first thing is that we have to open a document. Alright, so I imported something else, so let's try this again. So what do we need? This has to be from our ITextPDF that we just added through our pom.xml. This, right? This has to come from there. Now we have the document. Now we need to provide the path and the name of the PDF file. So that I'm going to have inside a variable so that I can reuse it. So ctemp and PDF underscore, and here I will use the index I .pdf. Right, so now we have the document open. Now we have to create the PDF file, actual PDF file. So for that we need to have PDF writer, which is going to help us writing the data into our PDF file. So first we need to get the instance, and for this we need to provide document instance and output stream object. Here we need to provide file name. Again, let's work on the throw part, and this is done. Now we are starting writing the data, but we haven't opened the document yet. So let's open the document, and yeah, we have to remember to close this one. So now what we needed to do is we need to add the Excel data into our list. So Excel work on a tabular structure. So that means that we have to create a table inside this PDF. So for that we have something out of the box provided to us by ITextPDF. So what do we need is PDF P table. So this object we are going to create a new table. Right. So here inside this constructor we have to provide the column information, like how many columns are going to be there. So we know the columns, like for each row that is going to be the same number. So I'm going to start with 0 and then get physical number of cells. Right. So now we have created the table. Now we just have to add the data to this table. So now for adding the data to this table, I'm going to create a new method. So why again a new method? So reason for that is we are going to add the row data twice. So once we will call for our header, and then the second time it is going to be for each row. So that's why I don't want to repeat the code and have it in a method so that I can reuse it again. Right, so let's create method public static. This is going to be void add PDF data. All right, so first thing is going to be that we need to first identify whether we are actually inserting the header information or the other rows information. So I'm going to keep that in a variable boolean. So is header, right? Then we need the actual list through which is actually containing the data, so that we have to insert. And lastly, we need the PDF ptable object. Right, so first is we are going to iterate over a list. Now for each column we are going to do this, and what we are going to do here is first we are going to create PDF P cell, and let's say row, right? Now if it is a header, then I'm going to beautify this, not actually beautify, I want the user to see that this first row or this row is actually a header. So we can have a border kind of a thing, or you can say yeah, border kind of a thing that will suffice, or that will actually look like a border. So first, if it is a header or not, then I'm going to set background color to dark gray, or let's do light gray, and then I'm going to set border width. So here you can do a lot of customization, but I'm going to keep it simple, just this. And if it is not a header, in that case I just have to add the data. So this set phrase method is actually doing that for me. So this is very important method. So through this actually we are adding the data to our PDF file. So here we just need to provide the column, and lastly we need to add this row to our table. So add cell and then row. So this is it. Now let's come down to the calling. So first let's call or add header data to PDF. So I will just call add PDF data, and here I will do true for header, like this is going to be my header, and then the second argument is list. So this is going to be my header list, and then we need to provide the table instance. Add row data to PDF. Sorry, this has to be right. So now we will call add PDF data, and here we will do false because this is not going to be header, and here we are just going to call our new other list, which is row data, and then the table object. So now we have added every data that we want. Now we just need to close the document. So first let's add the table to this document. The name is document, and then close this. And that's it. That's it, what we have to do. Now let's try to run this and see if it is working fine or not. So it finished without any exception or error. And here you will see a lot of PDF files. So I'll explain why this is happening. But good thing to notice that we are getting the required output. So we have this, and if I go to PDF_9, this is going to contain the last row. Here you can see that. So now what are these rest? So the Excel file that I downloaded as a dummy had some empty rows also. So in that case, what is happening is it is also creating the PDF file. So this shouldn't happen for every scenario, because usually before actually we process the Excel file, we do some kind of validation. So this Excel file in that case should either fail for validation or it should get trimmed. So if the requirement is like we have to even process the Excel file even if it is containing empty rows, in that case I have added a scenario. Let me show you. So if you here take a look, if my row list is getting empty, in that case I'm just adding the empty table. So this table is not actually empty, it is containing the header, but I'm later on deleting it, right? So I cannot delete the file if the document is not closed. So that's why I needed to close it. And I cannot close the document unless document is having some kind of data. So that was the prerequisite. That's why we needed to do these two steps before actually deleting the file. So here, this is the scenario that you can use to take care of if in case your Excel file is containing some empty rows. So this is it. This is what I needed to show for this video. I hope this explanation was clear. If not, do let me know in the comment section. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I hope I will meet you in some another video. Till then, have a good day, stay safe and bye-bye.